let's get back in here and see what I can do about getting this out of here. Now, I have not ever worked on this switch box before, and that's okay. There's going to be lots of times you're going to get into something and you'll never have worked on something before either, but most of them are going to be about the same. If you've done one, you can probably more than likely figure out how to do the next. I got just a little screwdriver here, and I'd rather use a hand operated screwdriver. Yes, that's what this is, instead of a battery operated drill to power those out. Now see, nothing's happening here because this is still painted in here, and I got to be careful because I don't want to go up too far. I don't want to just rip it off the box or anything. Okay, I'm just gonna take my time with this. And the paint has gone all the way back behind there. Okay. Boy. See, they took the cover plate off and they painted everything here first. Then they put the cover plate back on and painted some more. I'll tell you. See? Okay. Now I can just be careful with this, and I've got to kind of take a look at this and see what's going on. Boy, they didn't give me much room with it, did they? Usually they strip this wire back and everything, but they just kind of hooked it up and then they pushed this back into the box. See how that is freely going? That should be mounted properly with a staple within 6 inches of the metal box before they installed the sheetrock. And I can tell this is not a cut-in box because they've got it nailed to the side of here. They actually got the side of this metal box pushed out of the wall even, you know. And I don't think I want to mess with that, but I could probably loosen up the nails, bend it over, push this in. In fact, I might. See, I tell you I'm not going to work on it, and then I change my mind. So it's okay. You can change your mind once in a while. Wise man changes his mind. A fool never does. That's my pop's saying. And I've kind of adopted that as my own. See how that can kind of flexes already. And I'm going to see what I can do about getting this in. This wasn't really part of the project, was it? My pliers here. Last thing I want to do is poke a hole through the sheetrock. Maybe I can loosen this side up, get it off the paint there, and just slightly loosen it. See, I almost have that flush just by finagling it around a little bit. I better be careful. Last thing I want to do is goober up this whole thing. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, so this is an old plug, but there's a screw on this side and there's a screw on the other side. Okay. And that's it. And so I'm going to hook it up the very same way. Now, usually you only have hot wires going to the switch. See, both of these are gold, and so you would have a black wire here and a black wire here. And then here's an area for a ground wire. Well, they don't even have a ground wire in this box, do they? See, this is an old piece of Romex, and it only has a black and white wire in it. There's no ground wire in there. So that tells you this building's pretty old, and what their thought was is they probably have a bare copper wire, a continuous copper wire going from each metal box in the house, zoop de zoop de zoop de zoop, and they did all that on the rough framing, and that way it was easy to zip it from one box to the next, and then they would attach it somehow to it, and then they would continue that bare copper wire all the way back to the electrical panel, and that's how they grounded everything. And in the old days, okay? So there's no ground wire in here, so obviously that means I'm not going to use this ground screw. And just for the sake of argument, I mean, you could take this ground screw out, let's say, and save it, or you could screw it in and just get it out of the way. But for the sake of argument, let's, you know, I always like to kind of save things, because maybe sometime in the future you get to an area and you need a ground screw. Hey, there's a ground screw missing, and you think, hey, I got one, because you saved it. You go to the store, it's hard to buy just one ground screw. You might have to buy 10 in a bag or something. Okay. And I guess that another thought was you could install ground wire from the ground screw and then attach it to the metal box somehow. But you know what? It's not going to be any different than these other switches, is it? Because there's nothing on these, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. So we're ready for the next step.